Well, good morning. It's nearly 7 o'clock in the morning here. I haven't been able to sleep for the past few hours, and I wanted to say something about the what I went through. Tomorrow it'll be 28 days since I left hospital. I know this because my meds are on a 28-day cycle. I don't know where to begin really. It was on July the 28th that I came into this room just here and collapsed. I can't remember whether I passed out or I just collapsed, but I do remember that my right arm wasn't doing anything. I tried to push myself to get up and nothing happened. Confusingly, my left arm was working. So I tried to figure it out and eventually called for help. My wife, my daughter were here, and my wife, who works in a care home, immediately called 999, called an ambulance. I was carted off to Torbay Hospital, where I remember confusion. Of course, you know what's happening. I've been in hospital a couple of times before for routine operations, as it were. But this was odd. What's happening? I mean, people have heart attacks and such things one is aware of. But a stroke, which kind of knocks you out, is a confusing thing. I was in hospital for 38 days. No, 38 days. Confused a lot of the time. I was in two hospitals. And I think the biggest issue you have is confusion. Once you've got into hospital and the doctors look at you, two things happen. One, I don't know what medicines they put you on, whether they knock you out, whether they affect your thinking, to calm you down, because a stroke is apparently, I haven't done a huge amount of research on this yet, but your half of your brain, your left half of your brain, has a problem which affects the right hand side of your body. So at the moment, my right arm just basically doesn't work at all. My right foot, my right leg has a similar problem. And you lose a lot of your thought. Obviously, the way I sound is a little bit odd at times because the right half of my mouth has difficulty moving, so pronunciation of words is a problem. But the main thing is just a confusion. It's not helped by, and don't get me wrong here, the doctors, of course, are wonderful, especially in the NHS, but they don't easily explain to you what's happening. Now, to be fair, you're not in any state to understand either. But it's just confusion. It's just confusion, utter confusion. So for several days, I don't know what's happening. people come to visit me, my family come to visit, I'm aware that they're there, but I'm drifting in and out of consciousness. Sleep, probably, because hospital is not the most easiest place to sleep and to relax. It is a hospital after all. Eventually, I was transferred to another hospital, more recuperation, rehabilitation, but a lot of your memory is gone. Gone in the sense of you can't remember. You know who you are, you know what you are, you know where you are, but there's certain things which are you can't remember the words for. I was watching yesterday a video on guitar relicking, and I couldn't remember the word relic. I knew it was a word. I knew it was 5 letters, 6 letters. I knew what it started with, I thought, but I couldn't remember the word. And you get this a lot. I don't know why anyone would want to relic a guitar, I've got to say. But that's a different issue, of course. So a lot of words. Now this is interesting because for weeks before this happened, and there was no warning of this at all. I just came into this room and collapsed. There was no warning, blood pressure. Not that I take my blood pressure. Most people don't take their blood pressure. But there was no warning. But there was, for the past few weeks, this memory loss for certain words, for certain things. And that had been happening to me, where I knew there was a word. I tried to remember the word, A, B, C, D, E. Yes, relic. Maybe that's a warning. I don't know. But it took some time before I came back into the land of the living, if you like, where I knew what was happening. And I got increasingly frustrated because I couldn't see a way out of this. I couldn't get out of hospital. I couldn't remember the word for hospital. I could remember the word for prison, which sounds really unfair on the on the fantastic nurses. But I knew it was a word, and I knew it wasn't prison, but it felt to me like a prison. I couldn't get out. I needed to get back to normality. I needed to get home. And eventually I did. Eventually one particular doctor said to me one morning, "What are you doing here? Why are you still here? You must be going up the wall, still being here. Besides, we need your bed." And within half an hour, I was out. I left the next day, but within half an hour, the decision was made. It was such a relief. The main relief came actually a week or so before that, when one Sunday night I managed to get my iPhone. I couldn't work out the iPhone. I couldn't work out how it worked. iPhones are incredibly confusing. I knew I needed to press the button. I mean, autocorrect is a huge problem because it keeps correcting and giving you something and giving you the wrong thing, and you just can't figure it out. What's going on with this thing? But eventually, when I got to the state where I could actually operate the iPhone, I managed to get to YouTube, and I managed to get to Ben Crow on a Sunday night. And that was the first thing I saw after weeks, and it gave me a sense of, this was what I was used to before I went into hospital. And that was wonderful. Thank you. When the day, within half an hour of the physiotherapist, and that was a word I couldn't remember either. I used to I used to say to my son, it's like a badge. They wear a badge, and he'd say physio. I said, that's the word, that's the name. So you can't remember things, and that can be either frustrating or it can be a laugh. And I've always been big on humour. I met a young man the other day who'd never heard of Faulty Towers. Go and check it out, because Faulty Towers to me is it. I've always been big on humour. I still am. People think it's not being serious. Damn right, it's not being serious. Who wants to be serious? Anyway, when they gave me this wheelchair, which you can see I'm in the gym, there's one of those words again, I just span around in it. You know, what the hell is he doing? Spinning around a wheelchair. I span in both directions so not to get dizzy. But it gave me that release. You know, I can go somewhere on my own, you know. And as some of you will know from my GGBO videos, the finishing the guitar, finishing the project became awfully important. I don't know why, because it seems crazy. It's just a guitar. Leave it alone. A few weeks, doesn't matter if you're in the competition or not. But it became a lifeline. It became something which I was doing and was mine, and I could get it done. And I'd been working at it since June, and it just became incredibly important. Incredibly important. When we first came home 4 weeks ago, as I say now, the first thing I wanted to do was check out the body to see if the paint had taken. The first few days was hard. Hard on my family, not knowing how to cope with somebody who was having problems. I wouldn't say mental problems, but they are of that type. Short-tempered and such. Trying to adjust again to everyday life was difficult, and you have to work at that. I'd like to think I'm past that. It takes a little bit of time. It takes effort. It takes effort on everybody's part, but effort on my part not to be short-tempered. I'm trying very hard at that, and when I am short-tempered, I regret it immediately. I mean, this is true of life anyway. But it became important, the guitar, because it's a symbol of, well, I suppose my new life. I suppose, you know, why do strokes happen? Because of stress? Yes, no. It's a very, very well-researched but vague area. But obviously blood pressure and such things do come into it. Anyway, I just want to share some of these thoughts with you. You can get over it. I don't know what I'd do without my family. I don't know what I would do if there wasn't something to hold on to, and that was this project. But you can get over it. It's different for everybody. It's now been a month. I can now stand up. I can stand up in my wheelchair. I can stand up and walk around with a walking stick and with somebody hovering behind me, making sure. But I have movement in my hand. I have movement in my arm. The first time your hand moves by itself, you know, it's said that different people react in different ways. Some would never get movement back. Some will get it back. Everybody's different. You hear that a lot, but you can. You've just got to stick at it and have faith. I'm sure I'll say more about this as time goes by, because there's lots to be said, especially about the NHS, the doctors, the nurses, the cleaning staff, the cooks. The food was excellent, but I'll tell you one thing: an NHS staff member, particularly a nurse, is worth 1,000 bankers or politicians. No, that's probably an understatement. Considerably more than 1,000. It puts things into perspective. We need more care workers. We need a society which cares more, and we need a hell of a lot less bankers and politicians. But I'll stop there.